Welcome to episode 4 of Case Closed. We are Hanadia Bukrabi
and Anna Wagner.
And today we will be your hosts for an unsettling American classic crime investigation.
In 1932, the young son of a famous aviator was taken from his crib in the middle of the night. What came to follow was a massive investigation case.
This is the case of the Lindbergh baby kidnapping.
Investigators quickly discovered that the kidnapper had climbed a homemade ladder up to the second-story nursery window. The ladder was left behind at the crime scene. On the windowsill, police found a poorly written ransom note demanding $50,000.
The poorly written, misspelled note read, "Dear sir, have $50,000 ready, $25,000 in $20 bills, $15,000 in $10 bills, and $10,000 in $5 bills. We warn you for making anything public or for notifying the police. The child is in good care." The spelling and grammar errors led investigators to believe the writer may have not been well educated or that they were intentionally trying to mislead authorities. In total, 13 ransom notes were sent. Each one increased the amount of money demanded and escalated the threats.
However, a major mistake happened early in the investigation. Once news spread about the kidnapping, reporters and random civilians flooded the Lindbergh estate. The scene was not properly secured. Footprints were destroyed and evidence was contaminated. Valuable clues that could have solved the case were lost. Although police recovered the ladder and the baby's thumb guard, the overwhelming public attention made it extremely difficult for law enforcement and even the FBI to work efficiently.
On May 12, 1932, 72 days after the kidnapping, a truck driver discovered a small body along a highway near the Lindbergh home. The remains were badly decomposed. The body was partially burned, missing limbs, and showed severe head trauma. Authorities concluded that the child had likely died the same night he was taken, possibly from a blow or gunshot to the head. A New Jersey State Police chief described it as if somebody had deliberately crushed the baby's skull to cause instant death. At that point, the kidnapping officially became a murder investigation. Several suspects were investigated, including Violet Sharp.
Sharp worked as a waitress in the home for Anne Lindbergh's mother. She was questioned 3 separate times about her whereabouts the night of March 1st. Before the 4th interrogation, she died after swallowing poison. Some investigators believed this indicated guilty knowledge of the crime, while others believed she was simply terrified and overwhelmed by the intense questioning and public pressure. Later evidence suggested her movements that night were clarified, and many believe she was not connected. But suspicion still lingers in some discussions of the case. The primary suspect, however, was Bruno Hauptmann.
Hauptmann was a German-born carpenter with criminal history involving burglary, theft, and fraud. Investigators believe the ladder used in the kidnapping was built by someone skilled in woodworking. The wood from the ladder was later matched to the wood found in Hauptmann's garage and attic. Even more damaging, $15,000 of ransom money was discovered in his garage. During the trial, prosecutors claimed he lied repeatedly on the witness stand. Journalist Rupert Cornwall reported that the physical evidence strongly suggested Hauptmann was involved in the crime.
Additionally, when the ransom money was delivered to a cemetery by John F. Condon, Charles Lindbergh later claimed he recognized Hauptmann's voice. Hauptmann was convicted and executed in the electric chair on April 3, 1936. However, he maintained his innocence until his death. Decades later, his 93-year-old widow publicly insisted that her husband had been framed, claiming he was with her the entire night of the kidnapping.
Even after Hauptmann's execution, many people questioned whether the true story had been uncovered. Some critics found Charles Lindbergh's calm demeanor during the crisis unusual. They believed he did not appear as emotionally devastated as expected. Retired Californian Judge Lise Perlman proposed a controversial theory suggesting Lindbergh may have worked with Dr. Alexis Carrel at the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research. According to this theory, the child may have been used for experimental purposes. Another source noted that the child was described as sickly and having an abnormally large head size. During the early 19th century, children with developmental disabilities were sometimes hidden away or denied treatment. Some historians argued that experimentation and eugenic ideas were normalized in certain circles.
When the body was examined, investigators noticed unusual details. Certain areas decomposed more slowly, there was an absence of vermin, and some believed chemicals may have been used, suggesting the body may have been preserved or stored before being placed near the highway.
Additionally, some critics found it suspicious that Lindbergh immediately identified Hauptmann's voice during the ransom exchange without solid proof. Even today, nearly a century later, debates continue. Was Hauptmann truly guilty? Did he act alone, or were there others involved, possibly even someone much closer to home?
The kidnapping and murder of Charles Lindbergh Jr. remains one of the most infamous criminal cases in American history. It involved ransom notes, contaminated evidence, intense media coverage, a dramatic trial, and the execution of Bruno Hauptmann. Yet it still leaves many unanswered questions.
93 years later, people continue to debate what really happened that night in Hopewell, New Jersey. Was justice truly served, or did the truth slip through the fingers of history? Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode of Case Closed.